Sean Diddy Combs is just days away from learning his fate. After spending over a year behind bars in Brooklyn, his lawyers are now begging the judge for mercy, saying he's already suffered enough. But this isn't just another sentencing. What's at stake could change everything. Whether Diddy walks free almost immediately or faces years more in prison. His team claims his empire has collapsed, his legacy destroyed, and his prison conditions have been brutal. Meanwhile, prosecutors are pushing for a much harsher punishment. So the big question is, will the judge show compassion to a fallen mogul, or is this truly the end of Diddy's career as we know it? Let's rewind for a second and break down what actually landed Diddy in this position. Back in July, he was convicted on 2 counts of violating the Mann Act, a century-old federal law that makes it illegal to transport people across state lines for prostitution. Prosecutors argued that Diddy arranged paid sexual encounters between his girlfriends and male sex workers. Each of those charges carries a maximum penalty of 10 years, meaning in theory, he could be looking at up to 20 years behind bars. But here's where it gets complicated. The jury also cleared him of the most serious allegations. His lawyers say that verdict itself was a message. Yes, he should face consequences, but not the kind of punishment that ends a man's life and career completely. Now Diddy's legal team is pushing hard for leniency. Their request? A sentence capped at just 14 months, which, since he's already been locked up for over a year, would mean he could walk free almost immediately. In their filing, the lawyers paint a picture of a man who has already lost everything. They argue his once golden legacy in music, fashion, media, and business has crumbled. His companies have collapsed, hundreds of employees were left jobless, and even his children's careers have taken devastating hits. They describe him not as the untouchable mogul he once branded himself to be, but as a broken figure, a humbled man. In fact, they even quoted him saying, "I used to call myself a king, but I didn't act like a king. I didn't act like a man. This situation has made me become a man who knows and understands his responsibilities." The defense's core message is simple. Diddy's punishment has already been served in the form of public disgrace, financial ruin, and a year behind bars. According to them, it's time to let him go home. Diddy's lawyers didn't just argue about his reputation, they also laid out a grim picture of what his last year has looked like behind bars. And it's not the life of luxury people once associated with him. He's been living in a crowded dorm-style unit where privacy barely exists. The bathroom, no door. His meals, sometimes served with maggots floating inside. And on top of that, he walks with a limp from a painful knee injury that doctors say needs surgery, but hasn't been treated. For more than 13 months, he hasn't felt sunlight on his skin or breathed fresh air. Instead, he's been under constant suicide watch. Guards demand to see his ID every 2 hours, even in the middle of the night. And when he does finally fall asleep, the bright lights above him often jolt him awake. Then there was the scare with another inmate, someone who approached him with a makeshift blade, accusing Diddy of stealing his chair. According to his lawyers, Diddy managed to talk the man down before things turned violent. His defense team says these details prove one thing. This past year inside one of America's most notorious jails has already been more than enough punishment for Sean Combs. Prison hasn't just stripped Diddy of his empire, it's also forced him into a kind of transformation. For the first time in 25 years, he's sober. No alcohol, no drugs, not even the prescription pills that his lawyers say once fueled his violent behavior. They admit he spiraled in a haze of excess, sex, drugs, and the fast life that comes with fame. But they argue that the walls of prison have forced him to confront the man he became. And according to them, that man is now different. In their words, this isn't just another scandal. It's the classic sex, drugs, and rock and roll downfall of a superstar who lost control. But the story they want the judge to believe is that Sean Combs has finally faced his demons and changed. Of course, not everyone is buying into the redemption story. At trial, jurors heard some chilling testimony from women who lived through Diddy's darkest side. His former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, described being beaten whenever she displeased him. Another woman, identified only as Jane, told the court how she was pressured into sex with male sex workers, and even recalled being put in a chokehold and punched. For prosecutors, these accounts are proof that leniency would be a mistake. They're expected to argue that the pain Diddy inflicted on others far outweighs any suffering he's endured behind bars. And that's the divide. His lawyers say he's a humbled man who's already paid a heavy price, while critics insist the punishment still doesn't match the damage he caused. Beyond the courtroom, the fallout from Diddy's downfall has been massive. More than 100 employees suddenly lost their jobs, and many say their reputations were damaged just by being associated with him. Even his own children saw their opportunities in fashion, acting, and music slip away. Some of them dragged into nearly 100 civil lawsuits filed after his arrest. The damage didn't stop there. Diddy was kicked off the boards of 3 charter schools he founded, and Howard University not only stripped him of his honorary doctorate, but even returned his donations. His lawyers call it exactly what it is, a career and a legacy, shattered. Now everything comes down to October 3rd. That's when Judge Aaron Subramanian will decide whether Diddy walks out of prison in a matter of days or spends years more behind bars. It's a classic showdown, the defense arguing he's already suffered enough, and prosecutors pushing for a sentence that matches the harm they say he caused. The big question is, when that gavel finally comes down, will Sean Combs walk free as a changed man? Or will his story go down as a cautionary tale of fame, power, and self-destruction? So, what do you think? Has Diddy already suffered enough for his crimes, or should the judge hand down a much longer sentence? This case is dividing fans, critics, and the entire entertainment industry, and the final decision is only days away. If you want to stay updated as the story unfolds, make sure to hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe right here to Papaya Room for the latest on Diddy's sentencing and more celebrity news.